We do have an awful lot that we've got to get through here today, so let's stay focused on that. Make sure we got our slides up and running and working, and we're ready to roll. So this is our first momentum session. I'm going to probably rewind. I'm going to skip the first couple of slides here because I want to make sure everybody hears what these days are about. And since we have a lot of people that are late, I'm going to get back to that in a minute. Remember, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at KPI Tampa. If you want to tweet anything that you learned from here that you like, you can hashtag it with KPI method so people from all over the world can figure it out or find out what's important to you. And then you can also follow me at Topher Morrison. Take your phones, please put them on silent or do not disturb. There's really nothing going on at your office that can't be held without you. This is the time for you to work on your business, not in it. So put them on silent if you would for us, please. Since this is our first momentum, we'll go through kind of like what the scope and the practices of these. But first thing we want to do is we're going to start a tradition. And the tradition is basically talking about what we refer to as little wins. Oftentimes people are always focusing on the big wins. It makes them real fun to report on. Oh, I got my book done. You know, or, oh, I just landed a $2 million deal. Great. But you know what the reality is? Big wins are far and few between in the world of small business. But what happens is those usually occur as the result of several small wins. So we feel that small wins are just as good. If you look at anybody who's ever gone through the ranks of professionalism in sports or the corporate world, it's because they just had stacks and stacks of small wins. So we love to celebrate those. So if you guys have had any little wins over the last couple of weeks, we'd love to hear and celebrate that in with you guys. Also kind of helps us set the focus for the day, that we're focused on making sure that we're winning and we're getting ahead. So a little win could be something simple like this, like I got my outline done. Right? That's a little win, and that's pretty huge, right? So what kind of little wins, or oh, by the way, if you have a big one, we love those as well. So anybody want to share any wins that you've had over the last couple of weeks? Yes, all right.
I just got back from Dallas, and on Thursday, we had our meeting with the national championship game on what we did, and now we are putting together a bigger plan for them for the 2019 game.
All right, cool. So contract not signed, but they're entertaining your proposal. Is that what it is?
No, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. It's tight. All right, good.
That's a relationship situation that we're good.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations. Let's applaud that. All right. Cool. What else? Any other wins? You have do you have a fundraiser this weekend?
Yeah. It's not really, it's 32 years worth, so it doesn't feel like really win. But we have a fundraiser tomorrow.
Yep.
It's the General Schwarzkopf Memorial Sporting Plays event.
And what time is that? It's pretty early in the morning.
It's
right?
early in the morning.
Yeah.
It ends around 1.
Uh-huh.
You should go. It's a lot of fun. It's a sporting
This
event.
man's going. He's invited me, and I haven't given him a response yet.
So if you're not a shooter,
Huh?
And I've been waiting.
Yeah.
so if you're not a shooter,
Yeah.
you can still go to this because this is a one-time people who aren't gun people can
Yeah.
go, and it's because it's really a sporting event. It's,
Yeah.
You know, people have fun.
Yeah.
So I even sometimes shoot. I can't never.
If you've never shot sporting clays, it's really fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not a big gun person,
Same here.
but I did this a couple years ago, and it was with like a bunch of my ex-husband and like a bunch of men.
Yeah.
And there's something very liberating when they fire that clay and you hit it. You're like, yeah. I never shot a gun before, although
Doesn't happen all that often.
it was like a big shotgun and and I was like,
Yeah.
I had bruises for days, but it's really it's like, do you play golf or have you ever played golf?
Sure.
So it's like a mental thing, and so when you you beat that clay, you're like,
I got that piece of clay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you should try it just one time. It's really it's actually kind of fun.
I'm going to decline.
Come on,
Yeah.
you know why? Topher's
Yeah.
not very social. Jen.
Well, there's two reasons. Number one, just from a self-care perspective, I want to make sure that I'm
That's true.
just taking care of myself, and I don't have much me time much anymore, and usually Saturday mornings are my time I go to the gym, I get my me time on. So that, and I'm fundamentally, I was born shooting guns, so I'm very familiar with them. Yeah, so I'm not intimidated by them. Grew up with them. I'm looking at it also from a political perspective, and I think with what's happening right now with guns, I just don't think it's a smart thing for me to do. Yeah.
I'm going to understand that.
Yeah.
We're actually struggling. With
Yeah.
I'd rather go to March tomorrow myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I just told my board member that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there to deserve it, and it's a lovely event.
Yeah.
It's not, but.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, my most valid reason, it's Bark in the Park tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's Macy's Day.
Yeah. So today is National Puppy Day. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know,
if
these
it's
are the
too
kinds
late
of
to
things
get
you
in
should
or not.
send in an email before we come so we can make sure to bring this. I don't have a dog, so I don't know these special holidays. I'm gonna need a memo. Homegirl sent me a memo because she's coming for like, I don't have any food, baby. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
But that's a win, though, in the sense that this is a good fundraiser for you guys, yes?
It's a real good,
Yeah.
very good fundraiser.
That's good.
We were the first one in Tampa Bay, and now everybody else puppies are.
Yeah, yeah.
The owner of, Sporting Place, nothing bad about him, but we're turnkey.
Mhm.
So he kind of sold our turnkey to everybody.
Oh, did he? That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, well, I wish you the best of luck with
Well,
that.
thank you.
Yep.
We'll go ahead.
All right, any other wins?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had some investors I've been talking to for the last couple of months, actually come in from out of state.
Uh-huh.
During our day here, gotta use my pitch just to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the night, he's kind of looked at me and had goosebumps, and I mean, just, I mean, he told me, he said, Andre, I thought I was coming to Tampa with some properties. He's like, I had no one coming here to change the world.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like,
You need to have him write that in testimony.
right? And so, it's been,
That's great. That's what we love to hear, because what we know how your movie ends, right? You're still in it, and what we know is that when you get that pitch nailed and you can do it in conversational patchwork like that, what ends up happening is people walk away going, I'm on board.
Yeah.
You know, I'm enrolled, and that's the magic of it, and it absolutely works. So, well done. Anything else?
I've changed my pitch like 100 times.
Yeah, you always will. It evolves. That's the thing. There's never a finish line with this thing. It always just constantly kind of evolves because as you develop greater distinctions, you find better ways to say it. My favorite example of this, by the way, is actually Mike McCoy. Did he deliver his pitch to you guys at all yet?
I don't think so.
I wonder if he's
the
the photographer. Is he here?
Yeah, well, somebody-
Would you mind going and grabbing him? I'm going to put him on the spot and have him deliver his pitch. This is a guy who has practiced his pitch well over 1,000 times. You will not be able to tell that he's delivering a memorized pitch. It sounds conversational.
That's what I hate about
Yep.
mine. I feel like it's
That's the
something
dip.
someone should be reading.
It's the dip. You got to get through that piece, and once you get on the other side, it just sounds like butter. It's really good. And this is a guy who has really just. And there's a funny story as to why he's memorized it and practiced it over 1,000 times, by the way. And I don't think I'm exaggerating that number. We'll ask him what he says. Where was I going with this? Oh, his reason for why he's practiced it is he practiced it better than anyone. Here he is. Yeah, there he is. We're talking about their pitch. This is Momentum 1, right? So we're just kind of doing a check-in to see how they're doing with their pitch, and the feedback's always the same. I feel like I've rewritten it thousands of times already, and that kind of stuff. And you've done yours. How many times have you practiced your pitch?
Oh, at this point, thousands.
This is more than 1,000. Yeah.
Many a thousand.
Why don't you just show them what it looks like? What's the end product looks like when? Yeah.
All right, absolutely.
Yeah.
My name is Michael McCoy, and I'm the lead headshot photographer at MP Studios Tampa. And I specialize in working with people who need to make the best first impression possible. I spent a number of years studying under some of the top photographers in the world, and many of them were working with celebrities. And I noticed a gap in the way people respond to pictures of celebrities and then your average corporate headshot. So I closed that gap by teaching business professionals how to look like a celebrity from the camera. I'm known for making people look confident and approachable, and after my clients see the pictures I take them, they wish they looked that good every single day.
Damn.
Like butter, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
And by the way, and that's what happens a lot, right? And
So basically, you can hashtag it, I woke up like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So-
it's a matter of putting yourself in a box in the beginning and then taking yourself back out of it. So giving a reference point for people to focus on, being the lead headshot photographer. So that's what I do, and then taking it a step further and explaining what is different about my process.
And I remember the conversation I had with Michael as if it was yesterday. This was probably 4 years ago now, right? But he practiced that pitch so many times, and then he got to that point where he worked through the dip, right? And he came out on the other side. And when you come out on the other side, you can deliver it. What happens is you don't think about what you're saying, so you pay attention to the people who are listening. You notice their subtlety, like are they turning their head and frowning? You've said something wrong. Are they leaning in and nodding? You said something right. And there was this one part in the pitch which just didn't land right, and it just kept like people would talk, and all of a sudden we go, and he noticed that, and he inserted one word or phrase, and the word or phrase was I don't know, I couldn't remember what the original one was, but
right, it was.
I noticed there was the difference between a celebrity headshot and your average corporate headshot or something. Do you remember? I don't remember how it was really said.
Yeah, I think that was basically it.
Yeah, well, what he said was, and he added a little phrase, and it clicked, and the phrase was?
It was the way people respond to pictures of celebrities. And really just giving that respond a second, let it sink in.
Which is
let it
really
hit.
like we all go kind of.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the key, right? Because he's not trying to say there's a difference between a celebrity headshot and a corporate headshot. He's saying it's the way people respond to them, right? And then that automatically kind of puts you in the seat, and you go, I want people to respond to my shot like a celebrity, right? You know, and that was that little subtle. And I think it's safe to say he probably would have never come up with that little subtle distinction, which made it all work, had he not just practiced it hundreds of times.
Yeah, it's really about just seeing how it lands with other people. I mean, I was pitching to everyone who would give me, 30 seconds.
Did you do it like every day then?
Easily, yeah.
Easily.
And then at networking events, I'd go through it with every single person and just see how it lands and change up one or two things and just work out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and then for goals, because do y'all go into goals on this one for this pitch outline?
Goals.
Like, or name, game, claim to fame?
Oh yeah, name, same, claim to fame. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then big game and goal.
Right,
No.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So, all right. So that's just a great demonstration of what happens when you practice it. And it didn't sound contrived. It didn't sound like he was reciting anything. It just felt like you're having a conversation with a guy. And the thing is, he could split that up into 6 different pieces and just deliver it one at a time. And it just works real well. So let's hear we'll start with, I want to hear your quick pitch, and then I want to hear your social pitch. You're more welcome to sit, if you don't have anything going on. Yeah, you sit in if you want. So let's hear your quick pitch, which is the name, saying, claim to fame. So start with you.
I think we only have one that yet.
No, so the quick pitch is just the clarity piece of your social pitch. So it's just step 1. Hi, my name's Topher Morrison. I'm the Managing Director of Key Person of Influence. We are a personal brand accelerator. We specialize in taking business owners and turning them into industry-recognized thought leaders.
It's the first part.
Yeah, it's a first part. Yeah, it's that first step called the clarity piece. What's that?
So I don't remember mine anymore because I've rewritten it so many times. So
Hmm?
I
Can't find mine.
Okay, so the fact that you guys have to look them up, though, is concerning for me, because we want you to be practicing this every single day, because otherwise what happens is then when you have that wonderful, unique opportunity to get up in front of people and deliver it, you're like, I don't have it. Well, then what happens? You go, well, the KPI is not working. Bullshit, it's not working. You're not working it, right? So the fact that you guys have to look it up is a little concerning for me. I want you guys practicing this. Just because I don't send you the daily text anymore doesn't mean that it changes, right? This is something that requires practice. And I'm going to give you some strategies on how to make it better. We'll skip the name, same, claim to fame then for now, and we'll just go into your social pitch. But really, that's all it is. It's just the first step, and it's about 15 seconds. And remember, if you haven't written your pitch down, write it down, get it on your mirror at home, so while you're brushing your teeth, you can just read through that every single day. Even if you guys didn't practice it every day, but you read it every morning and night while you're brushing your teeth, it would be inside your subconscious mind, and it would be there, and you'd have that available. And also make sure you record your pitch as well, right? If you record your pitch, you'll hear it yourself, and then I will tell you that self-evaluation is one of the hardest things and the most impactful things. In fact, can I share with them your story about your external self-evaluation that happened at Pitch Fest? So in Michael's group, he practiced his pitch better than anyone. And at the end of KPI, we do a thing called Pitch Fest, where you guys get to have a pitch competition to see who pitches best. Well, everybody in the group knew that Michael was going to win Pitch Fest because his pitch was better than anybody else's. By the time he got done with KPI, he'd probably practiced it 300-400 times. And he had the damn thing nailed. And what happened was, on that day for Pitch Fest, the morning is your peer evaluation, and then the evening one is the public pitch, and he got up and he choked. There was just something about having his peers listen to him, and there was two judges over on the side, and he just completely choked to the point where he just finally kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, I can't even finish it, and he just walked down. Yeah, so the guy that we all knew was going to win took literally last place on the pitch competition, right? And that was such an emotional shock for he was like, fuck, I can't believe I lost that thing, because we all knew he would win it. And I think after that, like, you're like, I will never choke my pitch again. In fact, I remember that kind of a conversation, right? And so that's when he doubled down, just practiced even more and more and more.
And then he'll put me in front of a group of 500 people, and that was always fun.
Yeah, but you would nail it every single time. Yeah. So make a recording of yourself and just listen to it and say, would I buy from that person? Would I be impressed by that person? I just came back from Tiger Bay's luncheon where I think there were 7 or 8 school board candidates participating in a forum, and they all got a 90-second pitch right up at the beginning. And every single one of them left me feeling like they were inept and incapable of being on the Board of Education for Hillsborough County. And it's not like they didn't know it was coming, right? They absolutely knew it was coming. They just didn't have it prepared. So record your pitch, evaluate it, ask yourself, would I buy from that person? And then also pitch to your team. This is, you guys have this great gift where you've got, what's that? Is that it? That's him, yeah. You guys have this great gift where you've got 10 other people who are going through the exact same journey as you are, and it would take less than 5 minutes for you guys to call each other in the mornings and just say, give me your pitch. Just have one person. Just call them up and say, give me your pitch. Here's mine. Thanks, bye, click, right? Something that simple and easy absolutely makes a massive difference in your performance of delivering that pitch on a consistent basis. And then the next technique is what I think Michael did really well, which is what we call the 3-foot rule, which is if you're within 3 feet of anybody, they should hear your pitch. I don't care where you are, what you're doing, just consider them a game to practice your pitch, right? And what's the easiest way to deliver your pitch? Anybody idea? It's where it doesn't seem weird that you walk up and go, hi, I want to give you my pitch.
Ask somebody what they do.
Yeah. As soon as you ask somebody what they do, it just gives them the obligation to go, well, tell me about what you do. And then boom, you can go through and you can deliver your pitch. Yeah. Just ask people what they do. Yeah. Now, if it's at the office, like if you're in your, if you're at the center, just walk up to every one of your employees and just go, here's my pitch. I need some feedback on it.
I told her Rose like to write their own pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah. And if you even need me to come out and help you with that and facilitate, that would be my honor. I would love to do that. Yeah. I've made that offer to all of our nonprofits that if I can come out and help you guys in any way, help deliver the pitches. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. All right. So then the next thing, of course, is the social pitch, which is the 6 steps. And if you got the 7 and 8 with the opportunity and the next steps, that's great. No more than 3 minutes. Let's hear it. So let's hear your social pitch. By the way, we said at the last meeting that every meeting you'll be delivering your pitches, so this once again should not be a surprise for you. But let's hear your pitches. So who wants to go first? Go. All right, let's hear it, Irene.
Hi, my name is Irene Rickus. I'm the CEO of the Children's Home Network, a home for abused children. We specialize in helping children who have been, that's not right.
No, you were going really great. You were
No,
that
I
is
couldn't
right.
do that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So, okay, CEO of Children's Home Network, we specialize in helping children who have special challenges in managing everyday life events. We have been serving the Tampa Bay community for 126 years and have recently expanded to Central Florida. Most recently, we were featured on NBC Today Show, the Tampa Bay Times, Orlando Sentinel, and several radio stations. We serve about 20,000 children and parents in 7 counties annually. From time to time, it changes.
Yep.
From time to time, I have a chance to speak with donors, and they share with me their frustration in identifying charities that are credible, that they can trust,
Yeah.
that are dependable and sustainable. And what sets the Children's Home apart from the other charities, and there are many good ones out there, is that we have been helping, this is the part I changed, we have been helping children who have been abused and abandoned for a long, long time. We have demonstrated to our donors that we are trustworthy, dependable, sustainable, and an expert in our field. When I think about what I do, and people ask me sometimes, what keeps me getting up every day and doing this really hard work, I share with them a story about my son Nicholas. When Nicholas was young, he He was diagnosed with a heart condition, ADHD, and 2 learning disabilities. My husband and I had very demanding careers, but that didn't get in the way of us helping Nicholas. So we worked day and night to make sure that Nicholas had the advantage of every treatment and therapy out there that would help him. I'm happy to say that today he's a police officer and an awesome human being. What I want for every child in our care is that they have the same opportunities Nicholas had, the same opportunities your children have. I'm looking for a donor that will help us achieve those goals and go the extra mile in helping children. This is the part I changed.
Mm-hmm.
I changed it this morning.
Okay. Yeah.
Changed it several
It's
times.
great so
Still
far,
not
though.
good.
That's okay.
Shouldn't every child who walks through our door have the same chance? No, that's not it. Shouldn't every child who walks through our door have the same chance and opportunity? It's not good. I try to take the notes that we had.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
and
good.
Yeah.
I have
Sorry.
to keep working on the bottom part
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I could not quantify the number of children that we served over the years. We just don't have data.
Don't have the data.
That
Gotcha.
We'd just be making up a number.
Yep.
Do you have a years of business?
Yeah, what I can do, I actually toyed with this idea, because the group gave me feedback that wouldn't it be cool to be able to say we served X amount of children over 126 years. But I could say, like, for the last 10 years or the last decade, we served, we have electronic health records that go back to.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say we've been serving for 26 years, and just in the last 10 alone, we've served over, 115,000
I had
kids.
to work on my closing line, though. It went from, privilege, opportunity, back to opportunity. I don't have a good one on that.
Yeah. So feedback is some people didn't like the child of privilege.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Interesting.
here and then. And it did create some connotations for people that sounded like snotty.
Gotcha.
I don't mean that.
No, that's great though. That's why you gotta kind of see how it's landing.
So if it doesn't land on a social scientist, it sounds,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm
Yep.
being a snob.
Gotcha. All right. Listen, that was good. Well done. All right, who's next?
I can't follow that. No.
All right.
As many times as I've changed.
All right, Flocker, you're next.
So, I have to just really preface with, I was just in Dallas with my partner, and so, social media is really kind of where we've excelled. Obviously, that's one space, but in reality, I actually sat in the car with him yesterday, and I said, no, I have to write this book, but I just don't want to write it on sports and entertainment. And I said, and I literally said like this, I just don't want to be known for, and he goes, the social media girl. And I was like, this is something I've truly struggled with for the last 2 years, is I'm so much more than just a social media person. In reality, I'm a connector. That's what my gift is. I've traveled the world and built the most ridiculous Rolodex by literally the grace of God and favor, because I couldn't explain it if I tried, and I don't know how. But I've leveraged that into making a lot of money for myself and others. And so really, I'm more of a strategic marketing person who just happens to be really good at one specific channel for helping people make money, but I have 5 other channels that I leverage. So I realized in my pitch, I was pigeonholing myself into just one space, but I'm good at, it's more of like, I jokingly say, when I said I'm a pimp, it's a joke, but I'm really the person who find me and then I need to fix their problems. And so I give them a plan, and I tell them exactly how to do that, and I leverage digital media or strategic partnerships or whatever that is to help them make a lot of money. And most of the time I get a piece of the cut, right? I get a piece of the pie of the business because I know what we can produce. So I have to shift my pitch, because I would really not be authentic if I said I was just a social media person.
Great.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my pitch that I give to people on the phone that I've been doing for the last 2 years that lands me business.
So I would prefer you not, and here's
Okay.
why. Because when you signed on, you said that you'd be willing to be stretched.
Yeah.
And that's not stretching you.
Okay.
Delivering that pitch and maybe even changing it on the fly so it doesn't just limit social media,
Okay.
that would be a stretch.
So I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, so I have a deck, right? And my deck basically includes like that. So I could basically say like, and I just did this in the last 2 weeks. I refined this deck because of this course.
Sure.
And
To
what
include
the
the
new business
yeah.
that I'm bringing on is just not limited to sports.
Yep, that's fine.
So do you want me to do that now? Or do you want me
As
to
long as
just
you
keep
give
my-
me at least those 6 steps, I'm happy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I sort of cheat just a little bit? So, because I've memorized this other one and now I'm literally shifting. Okay, I'm in the middle of like 3 different pitches here, my friend. Okay, perfect. I'm not really gonna cheat, but I just need to like pull it real quick.
Yep.
The other thing is, I'm actually going to start introducing myself really as Mother Flocker, because that's really who I am.
Sure, that's
100%
fine.
who I am.
Okay.
And I think this is the
People
year of
will never
honesty
forget.
and authenticity, and I really
Yeah.
just don't want to pretend like I'm somebody I'm not anymore.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So, like say we're in a group of people, I want everybody to close.
By the way, if your setup for the pitch takes 4 times longer than the pitch,
Shut
we have a problem. Just get into the
felt like I
pitch.
had to be honest, so you'd be like, what the hell are you pitching? That's not what we've been planning. I'm just being straight up. That's why I like to be straight up.
You're in transition right now.
Totally, man. It's real. We talked about this.
It really is.
I really am.
We're seeing it unfold in front of us.
Sure.
Yeah, I did tell you that the first day we were here. I was on
Pitch.
Okay. I'm Elizabeth Flock, also known as Mother Flocker. And everybody laughs, ha ha ha, what
Yep.
does that mean? And I tell the
Love
story.
it.
I am a strategic marketing consultant. Basically, I am the person that people find, they come to me because I fix their problems. And basically you would say, okay, well give me an example. So I work with startups, funded startups. I work in sports and entertainment. And I work in a plethora of different verticals, and basically whatever you need to get from beginning to market to profit, that's what I do. Predominantly, we've focused on social media advertising as a channel to leverage sales and growth because it's the fastest, easiest, least expensive way to get a product into market. Also, e-com is a way that you can make money 24/7, 365. The way we do that is we focus on strategy, advertising, and monetizing. The 3 components of that are building leads, building sales, and creating strategic partnerships that will scale your brand into the phase 2 of your company's growth. And then from there, I just go into, I don't really have a good pitch now because I've switched the whole damn thing up and I'm feeling all on the fly. I know I'm like a hot mess today, don't judge me.
Yeah. All right, so a couple of things here. And I forgot to give you feedback on yours, by the way, Irene. So get rid of the word basically. Throw that out of your vocabulary in a pitch. Flocker. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the worst words to have in a pitch because it makes you seem wishy-washy, and you never, ever want to do that. Having said that, we'll get back to your stuff on the later one. Will you commit to making sure you have a 6-step social pitch for us with this new brand when next time you come
Oh yeah,
back?
I started writing last night on the plane.
All right, fair enough. All right, cool. All right, who's next?
Also, can I comment real quick?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like the social media girl because it puts you in that box, but you can take yourself out of it.
Right.
So it gives people a clear, definitive point to start from.
Right.
So if you give them too much in the beginning, it doesn't give them a clear idea of what you do specifically.
Right.
Because, I mean, really what I do is I press a button on top of a camera, but I coach people and teach them how to look good in front of a camera. So it's so much more than just a headshot photographer, and you are so much more than just a social media girl, but it gives people that reference point to start from, which I think is very important for just guiding people's thought processes.
That's one of the early elements, though, because all of us had trouble in the beginning writing the social pitch because, well, we just observe and use social.
Yeah, people always resist that whole box thing, but it's so effective. Yeah.
We all went through that,
Yeah.
well, we have so much more. And I think the natural tendency is to list things out or to put
Right.
more in that.
Yeah.
So it's hard for all of us, though, to,
Yeah.
what I think we've learned is that you capture them with that,
Exactly.
you know,
That one thing.
hook,
Yeah.
and then you take them down, whatever road you need to go.
Irene, I want to
It's
give you
hard.
your feedback as well, real quickly here. There was just
Yeah.
2 pieces. You in the pitch, you talked about something about annual. I can't remember what it was.
That we serve 20,000 children and parents annually.
Annually. Instead of saying annually, I think you're going to have much more punch. This is just a little bit of wordsmithing. You said every single year, and you put a pause right in there. Over 26,000 children every single year, right? Not even every single year. Right, really put a period after every one of those words. And then you also said, and I think you don't normally do this, but you're kind of in that, well, we don't have the exact number yet. So you said a long, long time. Whereas if you'd have said 26 years, that would be a little bit more effective. But that was it. All right, okay. All right, cool. Who's next?
I'll go if you don't mind if I keep referring to this. 'Cause it's,
I don't mind. Nope,
it's
that's fine.
almost completely different now, I think.
Yep, that's fine.
We love the other one.
I kept a lot of it. I used all the feedback that I got last time, kind of broke it down a bit. But I noticed like I was taking the things that we were supposed to be doing and almost starting every sentence with what I'm supposed to be telling them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I took
Yeah, too many preambles.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, and so is this. So, hi, my name is Stacy. I'm the Chief Administration Officer of Source One Solutions, an IT services company. We specialize in partnering with companies to expand their technical capabilities and geographical reach. Currently, we have support contracts in over 96 countries, servicing customers such as the Bank of New York, Ernst & Young, and American Airlines. Problems most businesses with multiple locations face are the high costs associated with hiring IT professionals for each site. Doing that usually leads to non-conformity in equipment and process. Housing spares on site take some space, they're costly to purchase, and companies don't want the tax liabilities associated with owning those assets that may never be used. We solve these issues by taking the staffing burden off of businesses. We have a full stack of resources from help desk technicians through high-level engineers already on staff to do something. Already on staff to support them. We design and implement processes to ensure their locations work seamlessly together. We use our spares housed in various locations around the globe to ensure delivery to our customer sites within the contracted time frame. And all of that equates to saving businesses time and money. I'm so passionate about what I do because of a statement made by someone who had been in this industry for over 25 years. While having a drink, he said, "We all know that everyone delivers the bad service. It's just a matter of who does it for the best price." I almost fell off my bar stool. There was no way this was known and accepted. The next day we had a company meeting. We created a new model. We started hiring the right people and working with the right partners, ensuring the services and equipment we are delivering meet or exceed our customers' expectations. So if you hear one of our customers say, "We all know everyone delivers bad service," their sentence will end with, "except SourcePoint."
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, well done. I like the changes you made. It was so funny. I was really sitting here thinking about, okay, well, how can I give her feedback on the fact that her changes were not an improvement, but actually took her in the back, and I don't want her to feel bad. And honestly, your changes were better. Yeah, I really like that. It was good.
You were set up for disappointment?
Not because of you. That's what almost always happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody they start to second guess themselves, and then they start rewriting it, and then they kind of get off the tracks, and they end up going off the banks. And you did really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. All right, who's next?
I'll go.
Yep, cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andre Hampton. I'm the founder and managing director of Streams Capital. We're an investment advisory firm. We specialize in working with high net worth individuals, specifically to preserve wealth and generate income. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I have over 20 years experience in business, finance, and real estate. I'm author of the upcoming book, After the Oath, A Physician's Guide to a Stress-Free Retirement. Next time I'll title it something easier. We attract it, right? We attract physicians, business owners, and CPAs who have clients who are actively preparing, who are considering or actively preparing to sell an operating business and have assets between $8 and $25 million. Liquidity events generate lots of cash, and that creates some unique problems. I got nervous. I don't know why.
You're doing great.
You're doing really good.
Yeah.
One second. All right, liquidity events generate lots of cash, and that creates some unique problems. One, people don't know exactly where to put it, where it's going to be protected from bad things happening, bad things like stock market crashes, bank failures, inflation, lawsuits, judgments and creditors, and taxes and more taxes. Right. Second, after they sell a business, they have to replace that income so that they can maintain the family lifestyle without depleting their capital. And third, they simply don't have the time or the expertise to make the right investments. Our solution is a system we call Smarter in the Long Run. First, we listen. We confirm and identify that the strategy to preserve and distribute wealth are in line with the family values. We quantify any immediate and medium-term cash needs.
Yeah, you're doing fantastic.
Okay, back up.
Go look in the thing.
Smarter in the no. All right, our solution is a system we call Smarter in the Long Run. First, we listen. We confirm and we identify and confirm that the strategy to preserve and distribute wealth are in line with the family values. Second, we quantify any immediate or medium-term cash requirements. Third, we collaborate with any industry experts on topics such as asset protection, estate planning, and charitable gifting strategies. We hunt for and mitigate risk. We hunt for, identify, and mitigate risk. And then we implement, monitor, and adjust accordingly. The reason I'm so passionate about what I do is because of a distinct memory I have as a kid. I grew up in a small farm. Don't change it. Don't change it on the fly. All right. I grew up 10 miles south of Fort Larned, Kansas. And I grew up 10 miles south of Fort Larned, Kansas, in a little house that my parents rented on the edge of a field. On the bus to school, my first day of kindergarten, I was teased and beaten because of my mixed race, and apparently we didn't have any money. When I was 8 years old, I decided I would learn to become wealthy, and I would be able to, I wanted to provide financial security and freedom for my family, and help others do the same. I've spent every day since studying wealth, and I stopped there. So I need to complete that part.
Keep going. Just speak from your heart.
I don't have it.
Yeah.
That's where I stopped. Like.
It's going good so far, my friend. Yeah.
I'll finish and get better.
Yeah. All right. Well, good enough. I'll give you. Yeah. Yeah. I like where you're going with it. It's good. Let's see here. Who do we got left?
I need to read.
Mr. Lawley. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Mike Lawley. I'm a turnaround specialist. I work with billion-dollar businesses using my many years of experience in helping to fix issues, grow their business, and make more money. Past companies include multi-billion-dollar companies such as WebMD, Blue Cross, Magellan Health, as well as startups like Liquid Money Clone, which was featured on the hit TV show Shark Tank. The problems that companies typically see are a lack of experience at their new size, scale, complexity, or growth trajectory. Some just don't know how to make money with this really cool thing that they have. And at scale, inefficiencies are seen in the uses of their precious few resources. We solve this by guiding them through a 5-step process called the Pathfinder methodology, which is crafted to address the problems at hand. They are guided, coached, and helped to reimagine ways to eliminate inefficiencies. The reason I'm passionate, in 1997, my brother was hit by a drunk driver, and they had to remove a third of his frontal lobe in order to save his life. Kerry was my best friend, my executive coach, and my mentor. As a result, I left corporate America to be his care provider for a year, and this changed me forever. When I was able to re-enter the business world, I did it with purpose, to honor him. My mission is personal, and it is to help others like Kerry, like Kerry helped me. I focus on the only 2 things you will have in the end, which are legacy and memory. Your memories. People describe me as the ultimate CEO, who reimagines strategy, nurtures relationships, has a bias for action, and a drive for results.
Love it. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, once that gets off the paper and into the heart, it's going to be 10 times better as well, because then you really be able to have the right inflection and pause and everything. So, well done. All right, cool. One, my friend.
All right. So, playing a little bit of catch up here. I'm going to read. All right. So, I'm Juan Martinez, president of Martinez & Company. We're a professional security services company that's been operating for 25 years here in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida. We are operating as consultants and unarmed and armed security officers. We specialize in providing security to critical infrastructure and the maritime security industry. We have worked with dozens of companies to develop and improve their physical security systems to ensure their assets and people are thoroughly protected. We currently protect numerous facilities at the Port Tampa Bay, Hillsborough County, and Sumter Electric Cooperative. We have also helped startup businesses create their physical security programs from concept to full implementation. We have found that common problems companies face when looking to hire security services is usually threefold. Our primary concern is deterring threats and reducing risks of primary concern, whether external or internal. They realize they're vulnerable to threats that are opportunistic or random in nature, and they need to build their defenses. To that effect, nobody wants to be put in the hot seat and interrogated why they didn't do more to prevent an incident. The liability of negligence is a real problem many companies face, and often it may go undiscovered without proper security. Lastly, security services should not significantly inhibit day-to-day operations of the business and people it's designed to protect. Martinez & Company helps clients overcome their challenges through a 4-phase strategic plan called, right now I have IDK, but I don't know what we'll figure that out. I need to get some creative input. First, we conduct a specialized threat assessment by having one of our highly skilled security managers analyze the risks and vulnerabilities. Then we use the findings to develop a risk mitigation plan specifically tailored to a client's needs. The third thing we do is conduct a training session between the client and our security managers to ensure accurate coordination is made on all security measures we plan to implement. Finally, we integrate security personnel and ensure the designated risk mitigation plan is thoroughly followed. Martinez & Company is committed to successfully achieving these results because we are committed to being of service to our clients and the community. The concept of being of service is at my very core and that of the company. We believe that when times are tough, you stick it out. You never fail, you never falter. You never let your clients down. For 2 generations, my family has toiled to build a legacy of excellence in providing maritime security. We have now expanded that sense of excellence to other facets of national security. We're known for being the guardians at the gate. We are the first line of defense, the first responders, and the best all-around security solution, for security officers protecting our nation's critical infrastructure from acts of terrorism and criminal activity in Tampa Bay or around the world.
Nice. Well done. All right, guys. Great jobs. Sorry, I had a little bit of feedback for, I think it was Michael. Let me see here.
Fill out the piece that said the porch my Tampa's my home, the porch my home.
I did.
Put that back in.
Put that back in?
Yeah, I liked it.
That's the only, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
That right there.
In the why, that's kind of cool. You said at the very beginning, you talked about through my many years experience. I'd love to see you put a number on that one. Yeah? Through my 15 years, 22 years, or whatever.
So we had that on like version 1.2.
Yep.
And we pulled it out.
Okay.
So I can put it back in if you think it'll sound better. I'm
Yeah.
really flexible, but
Sure.
we did have it in.
We did?
Yeah.
I did. I hate it when I contract my own feedback. Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
I'm good either way, as
Yeah.
long as it ends up a good pitch.
Was it a good number? What was the number?
I've been doing this 20 years.
Yeah, 20, yeah. Even 20 plus or something like that, yes.
I'm just off probation.
Yeah. So you're up for your 20-year review. All right, guys, listen, you did good. But if you were to do a self-assessment right now, based on how you did, were you satisfied? If you would have had the opportunity to pitch that right now in front of a possible investor or potential customer, do you think you would have won them or lost them, right? So whether or not you're happy with that result, whether it sucked or whether it soared, right? There's 8 reasons why. It probably could get better or why it didn't go well at all. So let's go through those real quickly, see if you're guilty of any of these. And there's no judgment on this, but you need to be aware of them so you can correct and then move on. So the next time we're back together, which is in about 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something like that, you can come in here and sit down with pride and deliver a pitch from memory that blows everybody away, all right? So number 1, and it's probably the most common one, is just simply not practicing, right? This is not something that you pull out of your laptop every 3 weeks when we have a meeting. It's something you have every single day in front of you. I don't care if you got to put it as a script and put it on your screensaver on your phone. Set a daily alarm that says practice pitch and self-regulate that, right? And just make sure you're doing that on a consistent basis. Have the sign up on your bathroom so while you're brushing your teeth, just reading it through. It's amazing how those little kind of weird habits soak this into your subconscious really, really well. Number 2 is not following the architecture, just kind of making up your own shit and doing it your own way, right? There's a reason why we have that architecture, and it's not because we personally feel it's the best. It's because this is after interviewing thousands upon thousands of businesses and looking at pitches and pitches and pitches. We know that there are only 8 things that are important when delivering a pitch, and there's only 6 things in a social environment. There's only 1 thing in a quick pitch environment, right? So really just stick to the architecture, and it makes it easy. It also makes it easier to recall the information much faster if you're having that specific step-by-step. Number 3, not involving your team. Not practicing with these great people that you have beside you. I mean, if you look at the people that are in this room, if you were to ask them for their time and their attention and their coaching or their mentoring or their partnership, in any other environment, you'd have to pay them for that. How much would we have to pay you for your advice if we wanted you to come in and give us advice? $300, $400, $500 an hour?
Bill at $4.25 an
$4.25
hour.
an hour, right? And you guys have his mobile phone number. That's pretty epic, right? Yeah, so utilize everybody's experience and their advantages. Get on the phone, say, man, let's just call each other once a day for the next week and just see how we do. What's your pitch? No chit chat at all. Just pick up the phone, know your pitch. Boom, 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 done. Hang up, right? So really do utilize the group that you got here. And by the way, utilize the Facebook group as well, right? We had this guy. He must have made 30 pitch videos and posted them on, and every time he post a video and pitch it, he'd get feedback, and he just kept tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, right? So utilize that group. Number 4, not playing for real, right? Meaning you only practice your pitch in front of your mirror, But when it comes time to actually getting in front of your customers, Flocker, I think you're guilty of this one. You say, can I just pitch what I do to my people when I'm in front of them? No, pitch this, right? Because what'll happen is all you have to do is suck wind once, like really embarrass yourself, choke, and what will happen, Mike?
You'll just turn it around.
Yeah, and you'll never
It'll
choke
never
again,
happen
right?
again.
Yeah, it'll never happen again. So really, actually take this pitch and start pitching it for real to people and see what happens. And so you surprise yourself. All of a sudden you go, wow, they've responded better than they normally have, right?
And then maybe Topher can pick on somebody else and drag somebody else in.
Into the story, yes. So we can finally retire the story and bring somebody else on. Number five, one of the reasons why it may not be going good is you're overacting. And by the way, you'll all feel at some point in time like you're overacting, and that's that dip. It's just that awkward part. Once you kind of get it memorized, you feel like you're scripting it out, and it's weird and it's awkward, and I get it. And once you do it, though, you push past that, you'll be like butter. You'll love it. Number 6, pitching too small. Just really not giving it your all, right? Just kind of apologizing for things and shrinking down and not trying to stand. Like I can't tell how many times people say, "Well, I wanted to deliver my pitch in in a networking event, but I didn't want to overpass everybody else." Overpass them, right? You want people at the end of that pitch to go, that was the most memorable pitch I've ever had, for all the right reasons, right? Yeah. Number 7, not playing full out, just not giving it your all, right? You want to make sure you actually get in there and stick with it. And if you stumble, you stumble. But boy, you only have to stumble once or twice. And I'll tell you what, you all of a sudden go, I'm going to practice this and nail it and get it down. And then number 8, not gauging the response, not really paying attention to them. So you're so focused on the memorization, you don't pay attention to the people outside. You really want to be able to get to that level. And that's one of the later ones that'll happen. Right now, you really just need to memorize it. So I'm going to share with you a story. Would you like some strategies on how to memorize your pitch more effectively? Because right now it's rote memorization and it's a lot of words and you're like, how am I going to remember all this? So I'm going to show you guys a story. Did anybody hear, Michael, you were at my campaign kickoff. Was anybody else? I'm trying to remember at the campaign kickoff. Yeah, yep, there we go. Okay. So let me tell you a story behind the campaign kickoff. When I delivered my stump speech, that was the first time I had to deliver it from front to back. And I fell prey to the same thing that every business owner does. It's the reason why you guys haven't got your pitch memorized. Life got in the way, and all of a sudden the night before the event, you're like, oh, I've got KPI tomorrow. I better break out my pitch and read it a couple more times. I was like, I got to finish writing my stump speech, right? So I had the whole thing done. I had the whole thing written, but I was not nearly as well rehearsed as I wanted to be. So what did I do? I relied on notes because I was damn sure not going to forget my material, right? So I had all my key things written up on some note cards. And I was ready to get up there and deliver my pitch and hopefully not need the notes, but be able to rely to them if I have to. I'm pretty good at if I got the notes and I know that I finished that first card, I don't even have to look down. I just put it behind and I just keep going and I just keep rolling through them, right? So I knew I could do that real well. So as a result of relying on the comfort of my notes, I didn't practice it as much as I should. And then I showed up at the event and I realized something. I had no mic stand. And I was going to be holding a mic. Yeah. And there's nothing more lame looking than be holding cards on one hand and talking and then go, all right, and kind of move it around, right? So with less than an hour to go, I realized I had no choice but to have my entire 24-minute speech memorized. Yeah. So I turned back to a technique that a buddy of mine, Ron White, taught me years and years ago. And I'll share it with you guys, and it works so well. By the way, my buddy Ron White is the national memory champion. So I think he has 3 current world records on memorization, including be able to memorize a deck of 52 cards underwater in less than a minute and then be able to recite the name of the, right? He just does insane things. If you want to look him up, his name is, just type Ron White memory and he'll be #1 on Google. His latest claim to fame is he is a retired vet and he was in the Afghanistan war, and as a way of honoring all of the fallen in the Afghan war, he has memorized every soldier, their name, their rank, and their number in the order that they died. There's over 3,000 names, and he's memorized them all. He built this wall made out of black glass, and he takes this white pen, and he will go to a public events and set up this wall, which is, I'm talking 5 times as long as this office here, and he'll just start writing in the very beginning of the morning every single name in order. And he takes him about 8 to 9 hours to write out every single name, and he writes the entire thing, and it's the craziest thing. He never ever calls the press. He just starts writing. And by the end of the day, he's got news cameras all over him. He's on all of the news stations. I mean, it's amazing. Willie Nelson paid him to come out on his birthday and write it during his birthday. He always goes to D.C. every year during Veterans Day and does it there. And I mean, the stories that he has and the pictures that he has of soldiers going up and finding their buddies, it's just really amazing. But that's the memory that this guy has, right? It's an incredible skill set. So here's the strategy. And he didn't invent this, by the way. This has been around for years. But basically the way it works is he's got some really cool strategies for memories, in that what you need is you need a set of rails to pour your mental concrete. And then once the concrete has settled, you can pull apart the rails and you'll just have it consistently all the time. So one of the rails for being able to memorize things are a couple of things. So first things first. If we look at how memory works, memory works by this notion: the more stressed you are, the less you'll remember. Stress inhibits your memory. So it's physical stress, if it's emotional stress, the more stressed you are, the less you're going to remember. This is why you can be at a family reunion and forget your spouse's name if you have to stand up and introduce them to everybody, right? Yeah, it's just, yeah. Yeah. And then the other natural law of memory is that the more you're relaxed, the more you remember. So relaxation actually enhances memory recall, which is also why you remember those stupid things you forgot right around 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, right? Just like you're right ready to fall asleep and you go, I forgot to do something, right? You remember it? It's because you're ultimately relaxed and your mind just pulls those things up. So a lot of these strategies are designed to help reduce your stress and to increase your relaxation. And here's the technique, and I think the technique is called pegging. I'm not sure if it's exact, but the way it works is this, and I'll share with you what I did at the Tampa Theater. So I stood up to where I knew I was going to be presenting my speech, and I think I had, if I'm not mistaken, 13 key points that I needed to make. And then those 13 key points, I pegged them on 13 things inside the room. So even if I forgot, I could just look over to that part of the room and I would have my memory hooked up to that thing. Little hooks all around the room, and I just hung the memories on each one of them. And that allowed me to throw away the note cards, and I delivered everything in order. I think the only thing I did is I flipped one thing wrong out of order, and nobody even knew. Nobody would have had a clue. Mikey probably didn't have a clue there was flip-flop. I've admitted it afterward. Yeah. So how do you peg a memory? So there's 2 ways you can do it. Number one is if you're familiar with the environment that you're in, you can peg it to the environment, right? So I knew where I was speaking. I had an hour to prepare. I went through and I just boom, 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 and I pegged. And I'll tell you how to peg in a second. But if you're in an environment like a networking event, you'll never know where you're at. So where do you peg it? You peg it in your own house. Because if there's one thing that you've got memorized, like the back of your hand, it's the house that you live in. Now, if you just moved to a new house, maybe it's the house you grew up in. That's fine. But if I were to ask you to pull up 10, 15 key landmarks or unique things inside your house, from the door all the way from the front door all the way to the back door, for example, you could literally do that. Like, I know when I walk into my house, the first thing I see right on the right side is the shoe closet. Then I look over and I see the next thing is I see a coffee table, I see a chair, I see a big painting of a big picture of a bridge in the Amazon. As I walk a little bit further in, I see 2 pictures from France, and then I walk in and I see the kitchen. From there, I see a door that's got the laundry. I mean, I know this, right? And you do as well. It's stuff that you don't even have to think about, and all you have to do is just put your pitch onto 8 pieces inside your house that are the most common, and it works like a charm. Now, how do you peg it? How do you hook it on? Here's the strategy that you use. You use humor. Because, like, if I were to ask you to tell me about the most boring day you've ever had in your life, none of you would be able to remember the most boring time you've ever had in your life. Why? Because it's not worth remembering. But if I were to ask you to tell me the most humiliating day you've ever had in your life, regardless, it may not be a pleasurable, funny thing, chances are when you tell the story, everybody laughs about it, right? We can all remember that. So what you'll do is you take the piece of the story and you peg it to the landmark, and you tie it into something which is very unique and very bizarre. And the more weird it is, the more bizarre it is, the more it kind of makes you chuckle inside, the more it'll help you stay relaxed. Because now you've got a crazy notion. So, for example, you've got 6 steps in a social pitch. You've got clarity, authority, problem, solution, compelling why, and your essence. Those are your 6, right? And if you put the other 2 things in, like your opportunity and next steps, then you got 8. So if you were to think about, like this room here, where you guys are looking, if you were to go clockwise from the room, looking at the front of the stage, what's the most obvious first landmark you could use in the room? That banner with the light on it, right? What's the second thing? The second banner with the light on. What's the third thing? The TV, or maybe me if I'm standing up here, right? What's the fourth thing? The flip chart, and then the banner, and then probably the door, right? And then you got this big ass boring blank wall, but that whole thing could be one thing as well. And then you got the door behind you, you got the coffee machine, you got the water pitcher, you got the refrigerator, you got the fruit tray, and you got a dog. So what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 key things that you can do. You only need 6, right? So now let's take that first thing. The first banner, key person of influence. It says build your brand, attract the opportunity. Your first thing is clarity, right? And your clarity is your name, saying, claim to fame, right? So if you think about your name, saying, claim to fame, there's only 3 things in there. Your name, the box you put yourself in, and how you pull yourself out. How could you connect that to this banner right here? Now, it's a little bit easy for me simply because my company is called Key Person of Influence, so it's a little bit weird. So I'm going to use the dog as a different example. Let's all start with the dog. Okay, that'll be our first landmark. All right. So how can I link up my name, same, and claim to fame with the dog? Here's what I would do. I would probably imagine. And it's got to be something, by the way, oftentimes the images that you create or the story that you create with the thing you need to memorize are things you would never share in public with people because they are generally usually very twisted, very bizarre, sometimes perverted, and that's okay because you want them to be so weird that you can't not forget them, right? So what I might do is I might imagine Macy, and if I had to remember that my name is Topher Morrison, I'm the Managing Director for Key Person of Influence, right? Name, same. That's my name. We're a personal branding agency, and we specialize in helping business owners become industry recognized thought leaders. That's my whole thing. So I've got some chunks there. I've got my name, I've got the branding agency, and I've got owners and industry recognized thought leaders. So if I were to look at Macy, I would maybe imagine that around Macy's neck is a name tag collar with my name. And then for the personal branding agency, maybe I would imagine her peeing on a person who is a secret agent. Okay? Personal branding agency. Maybe I would actually imagine her peeing on a person who has a brand burnt on their forehead and they're a secret agent. And it says FBI. Right? So I've got personal brand agency, right? And then owners, what I said owners become industry recognized thought leaders. So then what I might do is I might imagine her going, I just owned that FBI agent. Look how famous I am, right? And my dog's talking now, and it's peeing on somebody, and it's a little twisted, it's a little warped, right? But now every time I look at her, I can just remember that picture, which is very unique and very weird. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's all I did for my speech. For my stump speech, I had 13 or 14 different things or whatever it was, and I just created really bizarre, weird pictures in my mind that kind of kept me relaxed, and I was able to just go through each one of the things. In fact, I can tell you right now, my speech had the doorway with a big banner. It had, there was a candle arrow, there was a tapestry, there was another candle arrow, there was a stairwell, there was a balcony, and then on the other side over here, there was another stairwell going down. And these were all the different stories. I just put weird stories in them, right? So that's the way you can do it, is just create these things inside your house. So if you just create your story, pin it to the different parts of your house, then when you're talking, while you're talking, you're just imagining walking through your home and you just see that first thing. There's the whatever it is, right? It's an armoire or something like that. And it's amazing how it works. Right? It's a simple technique that works real well. And if you want, feel free to Google Ron White memory, and he's got tons of free videos and stuff like that. Teach you those kind of techniques. So, all right. Any questions? Nope. All right, cool. Let's move on to the book publishing. So now it is time for you to give me your progress report and let me know how you're doing with regard to your outlines. So your goal for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was to finish that outline. By the way, thanks, Mike, for coming in and delivering your pitch. Yeah. And by the way, if you've not seen his headshot samples, go check him out. He's amazing at what he does. Yeah.
He should have a camera with crosshairs.
Yeah.
I thought about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's just controversial enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Redoing my logo.
Clever.
Yeah. There's a lady at Partners in Network, and she's a portrait photographer. And she goes, "We don't do headshots. Headshots are what happens when a bullet goes through a brain." And I'm like, oh. She says it every single time. I'm like, I don't know that that's the right image to go, you know? Yeah. I get what you're doing, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. A little crazy. Yeah.
It's a little catchy, but not.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go into the publishing section. So how did you guys do on your outline? Stacy, where are you at with that?
So.
Oh, yours is a little bit different because you're doing policies.
But
Yeah.
mostly, what I've been doing
Mhm.
is just going through my old stuff and stuff that other people have sent us,
Correct.
either partners or customers or whatever,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of picking out different things that I like from theirs,
Mhm.
and so that's what I've been.
All right, cool. Yeah, because you're not writing a book. You're actually doing a policies and procedures manual and contracts and stuff. Okay, cool. Do you feel, based upon how you're tweaking this slightly, though, that you've hit your objective for the past 2 weeks and you're ready to roll and start printing? Start writing, I mean?
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. That's all I need to know. Perfect. Andre.
I have not accomplished much as far as my outline since we left.
Okay.
I got quite a bit done here, and a few things done, about 16 chapters outlined, but need to get back in.
Great.
And
Okay.
actually, kind of what happened after we started that was, I have 2 books, I guess.
Mhm.
I've already got one that I've got written, so we get finished up and through,
Mhm.
and then this was kind of creating a new one. So.
All right. So you've kind of got your high-level outline, but you don't have the subtitles and things like that. Is that what you're saying?
I do have, yeah.
Yeah?
The subtitles down.
You do have the subtitles. You just don't have the research inside them, then.
Correct.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Mr. McNair.
I'm an inch deep and a mile wide.
You're in terms of the book.
Yes. So
Okay.
what I'm doing now is beginning to move the fence posts in. So
Okay.
started off with everything I wanted people to know about what an ultimate CEO should be.
Yep.
It's too verbose. It's too many things.
Mhm.
So I'm taking those and trying to collapse them into common themes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's where I am in the process. I have done some research.
Yep.
But again, getting those high-level sections
Yep.
nailed down is where I'm.
Gotcha. Okay, so you've got some work to do today then in terms of that consolidation. Perfect. All right, cool. Irene, how you doing?
So, I'm writing the book with one of my coworkers.
Yep.
And so, we have met several times
Mhm.
a week for the last 2 weeks.
Excellent.
Have struggled though.
Mhm.
But I think we've turned the corner, but I'll share what the struggle was. I have a certain view and perspective on the same topic, and he has I have a macro, he has micro.
Mhm.
And so we struggled with, he did the diamond mapping too.
Okay.
We struggled with merging the macro, approach and the micro, but we did work it through in the way we're dividing up. We have the sub topics within each section already
Mhm.
worked out.
Okay.
But the way was really dividing up and conquering
Mhm.
is that I'm just going to stay with the macro section.
Mm-hmm.
We both trying to force each other into, but it doesn't have to be.
Mm-mm.
So then I'll do the intro and the macro sections, and he'll do the back half of the book, which is technique and more micro level.
Mhm.
And so we're very close, and we've done our research.
You feel like you've accomplished the goal. You're ready to kind of
Yeah.
get into the writing phase.
Yeah,
Great. Perfect. But but it sounds like you still got some little bit of tweaking to do today with it.
do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just,
Cool.
it's not a final.
All right, cool.
I had to step out for a phone call.
Yep.
though, so.
Yep, go for it. Mother Flocker, what's
yeah,
up?
I wrote the entire outline for the whole book for Stan Sprints and Fans. Subtitles, categories,
All right.
so I can still write that book though.
Uh-huh.
It's something that I do, so it's not the end of the world.
Well, so now what you're thinking is, do I write it a little bit broader? I would encourage you to actually still write that for that fans,
Right.
but maybe you could actually change it from sports fans to venues.
Well, so I thought about because this model actually works for like sports, entertainment, and or like foundations or
Yes.
events.
Uh-huh.
Which, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that whole bucket.
Yep.
So it can, still be a part of it, which is fine.
Yeah. You know what you might want to even do, just to get it out of your head quickly,
Yeah.
is actually still stick with literally sports and entertainment.
That's what I was
Yep.
thinking, too. I mean,
And
I
then the
did it.
editor, you can come in and then you can broaden that scope a little bit to charity foundations and those
Right.
kind of things. That's fine.
Well, I
Right.
think it's just that
So
the
you're
model is
ready to roll. Like you're ready to write.
Oh yeah, like I
You
actually
got it done.
started a whole separate document.
I like what I'm hearing. All right, cool. Juan, how you doing?
Not too good.
Were
Made the
you
first attempt
here
on
for
that.
publishing?
No.
Yeah, so we got to get you all caught up on
Yeah,
that one,
gotta
right?
get all caught up on that stuff and
Gotcha.
get the ball rolling.
All right, cool. So what I may do is I may actually have you step out and speak with Jody or Steve to
Right.
kind of get caught up a little bit on that, so we can get you up to date. I'll take personal responsibility, even though obviously you could call me too. But I probably should have followed up and said, hey, let's get you in here for one-on-one. So let's
Sure.
take care of that one-on-one today, kind of get you up to
Okay.
speed on what we're doing.
Sounds good.
Deal. All right, cool. All right, guys, so here's how this is going to work. At this point in time, we've got 35 minutes. I think we're going to take our first break at 2:45. We're going to try to break this up into hard, focused. Oh, and this is your book, by the way. This is for you. There you go. I already got a copy of that last time. So if you are still in the outline creating phase, that's what I want you focusing on until 2:45 p.m. Okay. If you are already done on the outline, I want you to start having fun and start writing. And I want you to pick whatever topic inside that outline seems like the most fun, easiest thing for you to do today. We'll have you start with that. And that's it. So you're either working on the outline or you're starting to write the documents today, okay? Now, having said that, because now everybody's here that's going to be here, I want to rewind my presentation and talk about the first slide. I've skipped some stuff here today to kind of expose you guys to what these momentum sessions are, because we haven't talked about this, and this is our first one. In many situations, people tell me in feedback that the momentum sessions are their favorite parts of the program, simply because this is really about rolling up the sleeves and getting a lot of shit done. So having said that, let's talk about what a momentum session is by talking about what it is not. It is not a place for you guys to catch up on emails. All right, so we want you staying very focused and not online doing those kind of things. It's not a time for you guys to be playing around on social media, making posts. We don't want you doing that. It is not a time for you to clean up your electronic filing and go, now it's time for me to finally clean up my desktop and start doing this. And I'm saying this because these are all things I've seen people do when it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and get to work. And it doesn't move the ball down the field for you, right? It's also not a time for you to chit-chat and distract other people, because there's others who are ready to roll up their sleeves and get to work. So if you don't want to roll up your sleeves and get to work, at least shut up and sit there, right? But hopefully you'll roll up your sleeves and get up to work as well. Oddly enough, it's not a place for you to set goals. And what I mean by that is that it's a place for you to achieve them. So do your goal setting outside of here, roll up your sleeves and move towards your goals in here. Make sense? And then last thing, it's not a place for you to prepare to do anything. It's a place for you to do things. Momentum sessions are called that because the whole idea is that we want to continue the momentum we started 2 weeks ago and push that through to where you're well on your way. I, more than anyone, or as much as anyone, understand how work gets in the way. And it's just easy to get distracted. So these momentum sessions become quite necessary to making sure you really get that stuff done that you need to. But this is a time to stay focused, turn the phones face down, and say, man, I'm gonna give it the best concentrated effort I've ever got. And if you do that, you're gonna walk away here today with a ton of work. That snowballs are going to start rolling downhill, and you'll be very, very proud of the work that you're doing. So having said that, I'd like you guys to get started on consolidating or finishing your outlines. And if you need to be online, getting research, great, that's cool, do that. But make sure you don't get distracted by turning into Facebook and social medias and emails and all that kind of stuff. Really try to stay as focused as you can. And if your outline is done, you're ready to roll? Stacy, Mother Flocker, time for you to start writing. Just get to it and start creating that. Now, we talked last week. Did anybody install Scrivener? Did you decide to do that or not? Yep. This would be the place where you would start writing your Scrivener stuff, right? So just open up the document and start writing and get that in there and start doing a word count. And we're going to, if you can, whether you're using Scrivener or Pages or Microsoft Word, we're going to count your words by the end of the day here to see how many words you've created, okay? To show you just how many words you can get done in one day. Okay? All right, so let's do that in one. I'm going to pull you out, my friend.
Sir, do you want me to take one?
Yeah, do you want to do that?
But I just had one quick thing to say. Topher had a really good point of starting with something that's fun and easy, because it takes a while to ramp up, and as you go, it'll become so much easier. So the more difficult chapters or sections of the book will become like second nature when you get to that point.
Yeah.
So pick something fun, get going, and you'll see yourself ramping up. It'll be like a snowball rolling downhill. Just
Yeah.
get better and better and better.
That's a good point. You do the hard stuff first, it sucks because you just go so slow. But the hard stuff becomes easier without even.
I have a minor request. Can I sit in on that session? You know, I had to leave part of that last session, and I missed part of what you guys went through.
Okay.
I have
So
to down.
I promise I'll be quiet and just listen. All right.
Okay.